Steve Williams has dedicated 39 years of his career to Norton Healthcare, 23 of those years as Chief Executive Officer. He will step down from that position at the end of this year to enjoy a well-deserved retirement. Steve entered the healthcare field 50 years ago at age 15 as an orderly at the local county hospital. Following graduation from Murray State University, he began his career in hospital administration by returning to that same hospital in 1972 as administrator. He was 22 years old and the youngest ever hospital administrator in Kentucky at the state's then smallest hospital. He eventually became the Chief Administrative Officer of the state's largest hospital system. Under Steve's leadership, Norton Healthcare has risen to be consistently rated as one of the nation's top 100 integrated healthcare systems. Norton Healthcare achieved tremendous growth and expansion of services throughout the system, more than doubling in size during his time as CEO. Norton Healthcare now provides 51% of the hospital services in Louisville, double its 25% market share when Steve became president and CEO. Norton Healthcare is the third largest private employer in the Louisville area, with more than 13,000 employees, compared with about 4,600 when Steve became president and CEO. One of Steve's many accomplishments is the programs he developed to measure, report, and continuously improve quality, safety, and service in healthcare. Many of today's healthcare industry quality standards and norms have their roots in work that Steve and his team pioneered here in the mid-1980s. But perhaps his greatest accomplishment is Norton Healthcare values developed through Steve's leadership. Because of his vision, the legacy of these values, such as respect, continuous improvement, accountability, and integrity, are lived out every day at Norton Healthcare. Tremendous changes and challenges have occurred in the healthcare environment during Steve's tenure at Norton Healthcare's helm. Well, thanks to Steve's leadership, the organization has not only survived, it has thrived and become the preeminent healthcare system in the whole region. We all wish Steve well, and he and his wife Kathy can now devote their time to their two sons, David and Matt, and their three grandchildren, Bailey, Zoe, and Oaks. Thank you, Steve, for all you've done for Norton Healthcare. You have made a tremendous difference to our patients, our employees, and the whole Louisville area.
Steve's impact on Norton Healthcare is immeasurable in my way of thinking. Being able to bring a system approach to how healthcare is delivered, I think a service line approach, all part of Steve's genius, if you will, to looking at delivering care in a very quality and a very measurable sort of way, a very accountable sort of way, and looking at it from the standpoint that it's not silos of hospitals. It's a system of care that cuts across the continuum and provides better care for the entire community. Now, that doesn't even begin to take in what I consider the immeasurable impact that Steve has had on our community.
Steve is a man of integrity. He is a visionary. I think what he did with quality has always been kind of the basis of the foundation, excuse me, from which he works and which he functions. He looks for quality. He won't accept something halfway done. It has to be well done. He's also a kind person. He's a pianist. He plays the piano. I don't know many people know that, and he plays it very well. He's a great family man. He loves his family. He never forgets where he came from, his roots, the farm, his brothers, his father. He's just a great family person. And sometimes you think he's too nice for the job, because sometimes you're used to people who aren't as honest and aren't as kind, but he gets the job done with that kindness and with that humility. So he's just a great guy.
The guy who had been an orderly at the smallest hospital in the state, who now has been the president and CEO of the largest, he was quietly amazing.
And we gain a lot here at Norton because Steve has been here for 36 years. I have been in meeting after meeting where our board, who demands transparency from this leadership team, is amazed by time and again where Steve will sit back and encourage us to make our own decisions, but in doing that, not to forget the patient, not to forget our responsibilities to the community, and most importantly, to keep our moral values as our guide tool and our guidepost, so that we make the right decisions for the right reasons. And those kind of solid principles that he never wavers from, I think make him stand out and make him a joy not only to work with as a board chair, but also to be very proud that a person of that caliber is heading up this grand organization.
He's honest. He tells you what he thinks. He surrounds himself with people that are exceedingly capable. He's got a finance person who knows more about finance than he does. He has people in communication that know more about communication than he does. He's got people in the electronic areas who know more about that than he does. But he works with them, learns from them, and gives them the ability to do what they're trained to do. He doesn't have an ego that he has to take care of. What he's interested is not taking care of his ego, but taking care of the patients and the community. And I think we, as a medical staff, as a board, and as a community, could never have gotten a better leader than Steve Williams.
Steve came with us 30 years ago, and he came from a little hospital. He probably couldn't spell hospital when he first came, because he had no training. But we got him into graduate school, and he's at it and so forth, and he's done a marvelous job, no question about it. And the team is just so impressive. I mean, I told Steve a couple years ago, I said, if I'd had the quality of people you have and the data that you have from the computer and so forth, I'd have only worked half time.
The biggest gift, and I can't tell you how many people have walked out of the room after meeting him for the first time or having known him for 20 years who have said, Steve is so genuine. He is just who he is. And he may be a tough negotiator, and he may be one of the best administrators in the world of hospitals that we've known, but he's just Steve, and he's just as happy on that tractor down in Lola, Kentucky, on that farm, as he is doing what he does so masterfully within the hospital world. And he goes down there and puts on his overalls and just loves it.
We went from a relatively small organization to a very large one, and it takes different people, different mindsets, and different leadership to make that change. And establishing our spiritual base.
He's always been someone who looks out for the employee. But he also looks out for the patients too. And he's definitely into strategic planning, looking to the future, always looking to the future.
From those of us who know and love him from Norton Healthcare, his legacy really will be innovation. What he was able to do at a time when nobody else was doing, and quite honestly, could have been criticized for. It's very difficult to be innovative in a time that people want very steady and conservative sorts of practices. But if you go back to, again, our looking at his impact on quality and transparency, just go back some 8 to 10 years ago, and the idea of actually putting every quality indicator that we have at Norton Healthcare on the internet available to anybody who wants to look at it was unheard of in healthcare. People thought he was crazy. We thought he was crazy a time or two when he did that. But at the same time, it said so much to our culture about transparency and being willing to say we're not perfect, but we're never going to get to perfect if we don't measure what it takes to be perfect. So I think his legacy very much is around how he's built a culture of quality, of transparency, and of loyalty. The good news is that Steve's leaving a legacy that we can in fact follow. If you look on the walls of any of our meeting rooms, any of our conference rooms, you're going to quickly see mission, vision, and value. And Steve, his fingerprints are all over that mission, vision, and value. So his foundation will allow us to continue to grow and build. My message to him would be to stay as vibrant as he's always been, and to continue to stay very much a part of Norton Healthcare, and always remember that there's never been a better time to be a part of Norton Healthcare.